Hey YouTubers, ever wonder what kind of equipment some of the more successful YouTube channels use? The software, some of the tools, different things that they have. You're in luck. The McKillnet brand on YouTube, which has well over 10 channels and rakes in at least 15 million views per year, is opening their doors to you. So let's go take a look. So you'll see all kinds of various things in here. Let's start with the computers. Gotta have a good laptop. This one is though it's not the best brand in the world, it is a i7. Upgraded to 16 gigabytes of RAM, 500 gig SSD hard drive. It's pretty important for some of the software we're going to talk about later on to have that kind of ability. Then we have, I just upgraded this, used to be an i3. We have a 7th gen i7 Intel processor in that. I've got two separate 1 gig hard drives in it, and they're not SSD. Eventually I will upgrade that to SSD. But you'll see even that is not enough storage room, hence why some of the other stuff I'm going to show you. Then in the back, I've got another computer back here. That's the Asus A12. Don't use that one as much, but sometimes I will use that as a backup computer to process some of my my videos. All right, so that said, besides having a good computer, which you don't necessarily have to have computers, you can use your phone, which we'll get into some of the different ones for that. One of the very important things to do, at least at your house, is to have a good router and modem. So in this case, we've got Comcast Infinity cable, and save a buck or two. Ended up getting on Amazon for $80 a Linksys AC 1900. This is going to save me in the long run $120 a year after I basically pay that off in 8 months. So very important, and you want to have coverage. Unless where you're going to work you have basically something like this where everything is plugged in to your Ethernet switch, which is going to be the fastest way to do things. Have this stuff all hooked into the different places in your house, and have all your computers. Either have all your computers go into this and then into the Ethernet switch in the wall, or into the back of your router. So in this case, this Ethernet switch feeds the house. And I've got Ethernet ports all over the house basically. So there's that one in the wall. But down here on this floor, I actually have that feed this Linksys router, Wi-Fi router, and it also has multiple outs on the back of it for Ethernet, so it feeds all the stuff in this room. All right, so that is very important. In a moment we'll talk about software, but let's look at different ways to record your footage. Over here you can see various phones that we have here. Obviously you can go out and get an iPhone 10, you can get a Samsung S9, and you're going to get some pretty good quality footage with those. So that part is really good. That's one nice thing that they offer. Plus, you can actually use those to live stream to your Wi-Fi. In case you're a person that wants to be out in front of the camera. That's all, all good at times. So the important things with the cell phones, really, if you're going to use those for your recording, is really make sure you have enough system storage. Don't get a crappy one that's only got 8 gigs. 16 gigs is kind of crummy. At least shoot for 32. If you're going to use an iPhone, you probably want 64 or 128 gigs, maybe even more. Just because if you're going to shoot a lot of footage, you're always going to be deleting it so the phone will actually operate properly. You'll want a good cell phone camera. So depending on which one you have, at least one of those over there shoots HD, 720p, 1080p, and 4K. So you definitely want to be able to shoot 1080p at a minimum, in my opinion. In the future, it's all about 4K, and to be honest with you, you should probably just start shooting 4K now. Alright, so another thing before we move on, if you're not going to go the cell phone route, having a good 4K camera is another story. So we're shooting this with a high-end 4K camera, and it has some advantages over the cell phones. One is the optical zoom on this bad boy is far superior to any of those cell phones. And though my screen that I'm looking at is a little smaller, and at times it's harder to control this thing, another advantage is I can put it on a tripod. So this is a very important thing that you're going to want. Right here we say 2 different sizes. And one of those, I believe, goes up to 72 inches, and the other one's like 48 inches. So those would be good for when you were sitting down, maybe doing an interview, or just in front of the camera talking away. You'll see if you were able to figure out all my channels, you'd be able to find 1 or 2 where I actually show my face. That doesn't happen on most of the channels, though. So another thing besides having the 4K camera that shoots video, if you don't go that route, it's always nice to have a nice camera with telephoto lens that can help you capture some awesome photos. And that camera there will definitely catch superior photos to the other cell phones that I showed. So that is definitely a positive there. Definitely shoots better than this camera that I'm using right now. Alright, so because you're shooting so much video, you're going to want additional hard drive storage. So basically that's what we're trying to show right there, is that you will need hard drive storage, and lots of it. You want to make sure you back up all your stuff. You never know when YouTube might shut you down too, so rather than have to start all over again, make sure you have all your files backed up. So that's kind of important. Hey, before we move on, one thing about the different cameras that we're using, I can't quite get that to focus at the moment, but you're going to want to have the high-speed cards that go on the cameras, especially to shoot 4K. So that's important. Alright, so let's talk about the actual software that we use every day in these things. So there's the very basic low end, which comes with your computer, to make some JPEGs. You can just use Microsoft Paint and slap your photos together. You know, not the best way to go about it. Things sometimes don't look so hot. So what's the next level? Doing something like Paint.net. Paint.net is got a lot of features that you'll find in the more high-end stuff, such as Adobe Photoshop. You can actually layer photos on top of each other. You can, you know, like let's say this scorpion here was sitting on land, earth, whatever, soil, grass, a tree, whatever. You can go around and cut all of that out so that you just get the scorpion. Then you can place the scorpion on a white background if you wanted to. So kind of a nice thing to be able to do. Now, so if you don't have that, then you'll want to go, let's see if I have it open, there it is. Then you'll want to get Adobe Photoshop if you really want to go a little more high-end. Of course, there's other stuff out here that you can use. And you can get a free trial to check it out, see if it's for you. It won't come cheap. And I don't have the other computer fired up, or I'd show you Photoshop, but this isn't a tutorial about that. So, all right, so why do I need faster processors and all that memory? One of the reasons for that is when you go into a software like Sony Vegas Pro 15 or one of the earlier models. Different ways to edit your video footage. If you want to go more high-end, then you'll get some professional equipment, or excuse me, professional software, such as Sony Vegas Pro 15.0. Now, relatively simple to use to do most stuff. You can edit stuff together quite well. And when I actually feel like editing stuff, this is my preferred way to do it. Fortunately, I don't always edit my videos very well at times. So, that said, it takes a long time to render files. And this will handle 4K video. So, if you were to actually render it, it can take hours depending on how long the footage is. So the faster that processor is, and you want to have a better hard drive for read-write purposes. But this is the way to go. It's out there. I don't know what I paid for it, $300, $400, and best purchase I ever made, gotta say. So, let's see, anything else that I forgot? So some other things that you might want to consider, if I can find it on here. You might want to make your own music. And I have a program on here. As I'm getting older, I forget sometimes the name of these things. Unless it got deleted somehow, accidentally. Wow, that's a bummer. I don't see it on here. In case I don't edit this out, I apologize. There it is. FL Studio 20. I'm not going to open that up, but if you wanted to create your own music, there are some great tools in there for doing it. It's pretty cool. especially if you wanted to do, let's say, rap, R&B type stuff, because it has all kinds of low-end instruments and sounds that you can put in case you want to have that low-end bass. It also works for heavy metal, so you get both extremes. Along those lines, you may want to have a guitar amplifier. You may need certain instruments. We also have a keyboard here, but all those things will help you add up to making your channel a little more original and making it stand out, especially if you can really play those instruments. Things that we don't show here, got upstairs. There's actually another room that's got another setup upstairs, but down here we've got a kind of a, I'll call it a shitty mic, but it does its job. You want to get some better quality. I'd say start at $130 and work your way up. You want to have a good microphone to do the voiceovers, as well as some software on there that will help with the noise gate, filter out noise, especially if you have a computer in the area, which we do here. You might be able to hear it, you might not be able to. Some of those microphones are super sensitive and they will pick up all that stuff. So that's about all I have today. Another thing we didn't talk about is lighting. In here we've got a decent amount of lights. There's 7, 8 lights on the ceiling, and this room is somewhere between 17 by 17 and 20 by 20. So we've got decent lighting in here. Could always use a little better lighting. This room only has one window, which is a shame. It would be nice at times to have a little more natural light coming in. But that is the most important thing that we didn't cover was making sure that the things you're filming, that you have enough light on them. All right, so please subscribe. Look for more tips. Look for unboxing, sports, all kinds of crap on this channel. Thanks for checking it out.